Every once in a while, people ask me to do more with the numbers. Colin, my sister-in-law, I just saw her at the family picnic on Sunday. She doesn't know the numbers. Colin, my coworker in the next cubicle over, says I'm making all this stuff up because I don't have the numbers, because the numbers aren't on your videos. Colin, my kids are at college. They don't know the numbers. Do you have any numbers, Colin? Here are the plain facts about the numbers. The numbers are on the surface, very, very easy to find. All you got to do is Google black on white crime. They're easy to see. If you don't know the numbers, if your sister-in-law, brother-in-law, coworker, neighbor, kids, whomever don't know the numbers, it's because they have been purposefully ignoring the numbers. They have been walling off themselves from the reality of black criminality. Some people can do that. Some people live in places where it's not an everyday part of life. Like right now, I'm making this video in San Clemente, California. Black criminality is not part of the DNA of San Clemente, California. But as soon as I get back to Wilmington, Delaware, the whole black crime thing, wildly out of proportion, is a part of everyone's life there. It governs where you go to church. It governs where you walk out the door, where if you want to exercise here by running in this direction instead of that direction. It governs where you go to eat. It governs where you send your kids to school. It governs how people can visit you or not visit you, and where they can stay or not stay. It governs if you want to go down to the park or not. Everything. This is something that this is part of the experience of lots and lots and lots of people in this country, and it could be a part of the experience of other people in this country if they weren't so determined to be in denial, deceit, and delusion about it. So here are a few numbers for you. There's some good books out there. I mean, Color of Crime, Heather McDonald writes good books, all chock full of numbers. But the one thing I'm concerned about when we talk about the numbers is we take our attention away from the actual crimes and the murders, the shootings, the pure criminality and sociopathy behind these crimes. And you know what the other guy says? The other day, a guy said, Colin, I'm with you on all your stuff, except I just don't agree with you, if the person's mentally ill. Okay, maybe we have different definitions of mentally ill. We're about to see a woman pull a gun on two teenagers, air quotes, except they actually are teenagers here. Three white kids, including a 12-year-old girl. She shoots all three of them. It's a little hard to see, but if you watch it once or twice, you'll see she shoots all three of the kids. One in the stomach, one in the foot, I think the other one in the back. Under what definition of mental health does that fit? Of course the woman's insane. Every single person in these videos is insane. Think about what that does to the numbers. Anyway, let's get down to Miami here. This woman, I think her name is like Daquisha. Daquisha rolled up on saw a couple of white kids walking by a park in Miami. Her car came screeching to a stop. You see this a lot in these videos. If you ever remember the story of Amber Long in Philadelphia, that's where we saw it there too. Car comes screeching to a stop. Bunch of black people get out. Same as this. I mean, just because she resisted a little bit, they shot her dead. Maybe they meant to kill her. Maybe they didn't. When you're pulling a gun on somebody, I mean, things happen you didn't intend to happen. That does not relieve you of the responsibility for them happening. And that doesn't mean you can come around and go, oh man, I wasn't feeling good that day. Get me the mental health professional. So LaQuisha pulled a gun, shot these three kids during a robbery, then sped off in the same car in which she arrived. There's some of the details if you want to read them. Fired 8 times, hit them 3 times. Across the street from Roberto Clemente Park. Good old Miami in Miami. So she just got arrested the other day. I'm sorry, I said her name was LaQuisha. It's Quiteria Dennis. And how about these fellas up in Philadelphia? Go into a store, pull a gun, steal some stuff, steal some phones. I think one of the reasons I'm putting this in here is not just because it's kind of an everyday thing, but also it's kind of an example of this is what decent cameras look like. And there are so many places where, mostly public places, right? Like a subway or a bus. The cameras, more often than not, really produce some lousy pictures. And you have to wonder, like, why don't they just put in decent cameras? Why are all the pictures always so poor? I think I know the answer to that.
Made arrests after a deadly.
And okay, why don't we stay down in southern Florida? A member of the United States Army and Army Rangers at a casino has a disagreement with a couple of the fellas. They pull a gun out and kill him.
Made arrests after a deadly shooting outside the Miccosukee Resort and Casino. The two suspects went before a judge today. Local 10 News reporter Leanne Motorhome was in court for their hearing. She joins us live from Miami. Leanne.
And one of these defendants does have a private attorney. As you said, Janice, they went through bond court this morning. Let's take you back to some video so we can remind you how this all started. This is where the alleged murder took place on Christmas at the Miccosukee Resort and Casino. Now, according to Miccosukee police, the defendants were playing poker at the same table as the alleged victim and his friend. Words were exchanged at the table as well as outside the casino in the parking lot. And all of the parties, as they were leaving the casino in their cars, the victim allegedly got out of his vehicle, approached the defendants, and that's when the defendants shot him. Let's show you a picture we've just obtained of that victim. Diario Las Americas providing us with this photo of 33-year-old Fernando Duarte. They are also reporting that Duarte was a U.S. Marine. Now, these are the defendants, Kenan Bailey and Mikey Leonard. Each are charged with first-degree murder. And here is what a detective from the Miccosukee Police Department said about what happened.
As the victim approaches the defendant's car, the doors close and the car is put into reverse, and there is gunshot fire from the passenger side of the vehicle.
Now, we're told one of those defendants actually turned himself in, essentially coming up to a security guard at the casino saying that he had shot someone in self-defense. At this time, they are both charged with first-degree murder and are facing no bond.
Staying in southern Florida, a white school teacher is killed. Her child is hurt after a bunch of the fellas steal a car and ram the stolen car into the teacher's car.
Tragedy on the roads in Coral Springs after a mother is killed in a crash. Police saying they tried to pull over the driver of a stolen car when he went through a red light, colliding with another car. New at noon, one of those teens arrested after the crash went before a judge today. We're also learning more about the mom who lost her life. Local 10 News reporter Ben Kennedy is live in Fort Lauderdale with the latest. Ben.
Janice, the victim in this case is a fourth grade teacher at Coral Springs Elementary School. Her family is just in tears. They told us that she was taking her son to the dentist when this driver behind the wheel of a stolen car hit her.
They have no contact victims that remain alive in this case.
18-year-old Tyree Goodwin faced a judge in a Coral Springs car crash case that claimed the life of a mother. Her 11-year-old son was also hurt after a driver running from police hit their car.
This is a very serious, very violent offense in which there was fatality involved. Although he was not alleged to be the driver of the vehicle, he was alleged to have participated in stealing the vehicle and was a passenger.
It happened in the eastbound lanes of West Sample Road. It's their officers say 17-year-old Eric Abraham was behind the wheel of a stolen car traveling at a high rate of speed when police tried to pull him over. They say he ran a red light at Northwest 101st Avenue and hit another car, killing the driver, Christiane Weiner. Inside the stolen car was two juveniles and 18-year-old Tyree Goodwin. This photo shows them in cuffs at the scene. Abraham is now facing several charges, including vehicular homicide and reckless driving.
Now, the trolls love to call this cherry picking. Now, the same people who don't know anything about the numbers, who have shut themselves off from every number about how black criminality is wildly out of proportion, and how actually white, it's the white people do it. Well, there's only three things I could say. It's not happening, white people do it too, or white people deserve it. So, the same people who don't know anything about the numbers, when you show them stuff like this, all of a sudden they get very conversant in statistical theory, and they start talking about cherry picking and confirmation bias. So maybe the people who don't know anything about the numbers, maybe they know a little bit more than they are letting on. When you do a talk radio show, I do a talk radio show with my brother from time to time in Wilmington, Delaware, and that's my brother's favorite, thing. When you get a liberal cornered, and they just say, well, you say something, you say like, well, the sun's going to come up tomorrow. They go, well, prove it. Well, when you're in a social setting or a talk radio, it's not really a time or a place where you can start, pulling out these blackboards and doing all these diagrams. But that's what the deniers would love to have us do, engage in some academic discussion of this unbelievable level of criminality, making so many people victims. Ignore the victims, focus on the statistics, because I guarantee you, if you do that, no black kids will get angry.